guys together to give a little bit of student voice to the academics at the law faculty. I think without, as I said before, without biasing the conversation too much, but I think the educational landscape is changing, and technology has a big part to play in that. So I would really like you guys to be honest and just tell us where you're coming from. Where you're coming from as far as technology goes, and where you think the law school is at the moment, and what your expectations also are of using technology in education. So yesterday, just for you guys, yesterday I went to a forum up here at the main university, and we were discussing personalisation in education, and Shirley Alexander from UTS was speaking at the conference, keynote speaker, and UTS has just spent $1.2 billion on their faculty, basically, and as part of that they're overhauling their educational philosophy within the college. So their physical space is changing, it's $1.2 million, but also they've thought very deeply about how they're using those spaces in an educational way. So the lecture theatre is gone from UTS now. They've decided that's out, basically, and if they do have what looks like a lecture theatre, all the chairs are swivel chairs for group work and things like that. So they're focusing more on getting students into groups to work together rather than having a lecturer up the front. So that's a big change for them. They're investing
collaborative learning, isn't it?
Yes, collaborative learning. Right. So they're investing heavily in this, and we had another speaker from Sydney University who was talking about learning analytics. So he's using online learning and gleaning the analytics from that to inform his teaching, basically. And an example he gave, which I thought was a really good example, he said he used to say in his classes, if you do all the homework, the voluntary homework assignments, if you do all the voluntary homework assignments very well, you'll probably pass this paper and get a very good mark. But now he says in front of the students, because he's analysed data from the online learning portion of his courses, he can now say to the students out in front at the beginning of the semester and stand up to say, on this hand are the people who handed in 5 out of 10 assignments and they didn't do very well. On this hand, there's the guys who handed in from 8 to 10. They got high distinctions. So it's as simple as that. Which group do you want to be in? So he's got the analytics to actually talk to the students with, and the students are picking up on that. So the students are picking up on that and working with those ideas. So we've brought 5 students in to talk about where they come from as far as technology and education. Please jump in at any time and ask questions. So we'll start. Audrey. I'll just introduce you. There's Audrey Chan here. Calvin Ho is over here. Mark Watts is there. Josh Beale is there, and Young Yu is here. Okay, so Audrey, we'll just go around. Where did you come from as far as coming into the law school?
Okay, so I did high school in a small country town, Wagga Wagga. It's about 66 maybe 1,000 people. So I was there in the main country high school, and yeah, so that's where I came from.
Were you using a lot of technology?
Well, in that circumstance, we use technology more so to get access to programs that we wouldn't have in our small country high school. We did a lot of conferencing style classes with Sydney schools, and we also used it as a way to do a lot of group work projects, I guess, with other schools, like multiculturalism development and things like that.
Okay.
And peer mentoring as well across different schools. And so that was really helpful, and it was really good as well during the HSC because we got access to resources which we definitely did not have.
Right.
Being a smaller cohort in a country town. So, yeah.
So you had a lot of access, like peer mentoring that kind of thing?
Yeah, so that was what we used our technology the most for, I guess.
Okay.
We didn't really have a Moodle style, like in the classroom kind of learning. It was more across institutions rather than within the institution.
Okay, thanks.
Like Audrey, I went to a country high school in a small country town. Only about 10,000 people there, so a bit smaller than Wagga. I think for me, we did have, it was a school that received a lot of government funding into this kind of technology upgrade, and it seemed that when I was at school, it was kind of the start of that upgrade. Although we did have the things like the electronic
Smart boards?
Yeah, the smart boards. We had those kind of things installed, but the use of them was really, really minimal.
Right.
I guess it was a very, that kind of old-fashioned technology-free teaching, basically.
Okay.
There's very little use of technology at all.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, I went to a school in Chatswood, but there's this great philosophy that things would always be done better if we just did them with paper and pen and textbooks. I remember in year 12 still watching video cassettes and things like that. Yeah, so it was very, very traditional, and it was thought that technology would somehow distract us from our learning. And there might be some weight in that, but I think also it sort of left me behind in terms of the practical skills which I could use either at jobs or doing work at university now, which requires some sort of technological engagement.
Okay.
Yeah. This is probably going to give away how old I actually am. But I remember still having chalkboards. When I was in high school. Oh, really? But having said that, I think I feel like I've really sort of, I guess, witnessed the impact of technology on teaching and learning. I mean, I remember sort of being an undergrad at UNSW and, with the WebCT, Blackboard, although that was mainly used as a Dropbox style, get your course outline so we don't have to print it out, kind of thing. But having said that, I've completed subjects where the major assignment was, say, something like 70% was completely collaborative learning, and it was done just on a wiki and presented on a wiki, just wholly like that, with intensive at the beginning and the end of the course. So, I mean, it's sort of quite early, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I went to a high school in Hong Kong.
Right.
So it was a private school. I think at the time I was there was the beginning of, they wanted to introduce more technology, but it was really inconsistent in the way they did it. So we would have a smartboard, but only one teacher out of 8 would use a smartboard. We would have something similar to Moodle, but again, like maybe 2 teachers would use it and the others would just stick. So it was really inconsistent. They forced everyone to get netbooks and then abandoned it after a year when they realized it didn't work at all.
Netbooks?
Yeah, so just small laptops.
Right.
They got everyone to buy it, and then after a year, they're like, no, this
No
is
one's
horrible.
using it. Wow.
Did they use sort of like trials for that sort of thing, or did they tend to go, we're all going that way, boom, the whole thing?
It was, there wasn't any trial or anything at all. I think there was a brief discussion with the parents' council, but there were like 5 people there, so that wasn't actually a discussion. It was
Right.
And they pretty much forced everyone to buy it. They even had a deal with Lenovo, like a laptop manufacturer, so that we could get it at a cheaper price.
Right.
Which was cheaper by like $20. So pretty much teach them to buy it.
Why did they abandon them?
First of all, I think, I'm not sure if this is just my school, but I think there was a bit of disconnect between the management of the school and the teachers in general. So the management wanted everyone to use netbooks, but the teachers a lot of teachers, maybe half would be like, oh, you can use them if you want, but I don't really encourage it, or I'm not going to do anything specifically. And by, say, month 3 of the netbook experiment, students would just not bring the netbooks, and teachers would be okay with that and not say anything. So other students would be like, oh, why am I carrying this too?
So just guide. Right. Okay.
Was anything about how they actually worked that contributed to that, or was it just entirely that it wasn't integrated and sort of used very much? Like, did they actually work for what was intended?
This was in 2011, so netbooks back then were actually, for me, I found them pretty slow and clunky. But then again, for our purposes, which was pretty much a Word and maybe just going on and looking for journal articles, it wasn't that hard. But what ended up happening was a lot of students were just doing Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, right, for us. So I remember, a lot of schools in Australia and New Zealand, directly from the government was saying we must get on this kind of wave of technology thing and dumping stuff into the schools. And of course the teachers were going, what do we do with it? And as you've said, kind of like there, the program has died. But one thing I'm getting from all of you guys is very little technology use in high school. That's quite amazing. I'm surprised at that.
Audrey's story's pretty good.
Well, it wasn't as regular as I guess I made it sound. I mean, I guess I was just highlighting the times when we did use it and when we used it. Whereas like day-to-day classroom, my experience is very much like Josh's, where we had smartphones, but it was only in very special circumstances where we actually used them. And when we did, they worked really well.
Okay.
Yeah.